mina öron som är fel. My ears are all. Hello? Are you ready to start?
Yes.
Are you?
Are we ready? Yeah, we're ready. We're ready. Recorded?
Yes.
Okay.
Just start. It is recorded.
It's on YouTube tonight?
We never asked when you were going to have this for, what?
Maybe it was a mistake because some of the people of okay, they will get a video. Where should I come?
Okay.
Oh, that's good. It's true.
My name is Urban Pettersson, and I work in Västerås Stad. Västerås Stad.
And my name is Ammi Karlsson.Pye, and I work together with Urban for Västerås Stad.
And my name is Rose-Hanna. This is my mum. And I work here at LBF, but in a place in town, which I'm going to talk about in a little while. It's called SamhällsVägledarna.
My name is vennerstrom, and I work together with Urban and Ammi, Västerås Stad.
I'm also a chairman for the children in Västerås, and I just have been on IKEA and packed 1,000 rucksacks, which we're going to distribute to living place for new families in Västerås. Flyktingar? Immigrants, yeah. And now we're going to talk a little bit about the Convention on the Rights of the Child, and a little bit about our works, and parentship a little bit. But we start with the Convention on the Rights of the Child. I don't know how much do you know about it? All? Middle? Nothing. You have heard about it? You have an aning?
Have you heard about the right?
Yes.
You know a bit about it? Or? Yes.
So if I say something that you already know, you stop me and say something new. This picture is from UNICEF. They have a thick handbook about the convention, and these eyes, I like them. They looked through our oss vuxna.
Our adults.
Yeah. Our adults. And I don't know if you can see what the child ask us. What are you doing? How will you raise me? What have you done with the world? Yeah. Okay. There are a few conventions. The United Nations have ratified, constructed, and countries have ratified. There are a few of them. The first one, 1966, is the human rights from 1948, after the Second War. And 1966, they built up a committee in Geneva, who meet every country regularly, and check how they work with human rights. 1979, they upptäckte noticed that they have forgotten the half of the human beings. So they have to make a convention for the women, for the women. 1979. The same year, Poland have an idea that we have to look for the children, a convention for the children. So 1979 they started to work with it, members from different countries in the world, and they worked for 10 years. In 1989 they were ready to present the work for the United Nations, the Generalförsamling.
General Assembly.
Yeah. And they say, okay. And a convention had 20, at least 20 countries have to ratify the convention so it would be legal. And Sweden was one of the first countries. So 1990 Sweden ratified the convention. You can see, yeah, almost all countries in the world has ratified the convention. I think it's in 195 countries. It's just one country who has not. Do you know which country? Yeah, United States. Yeah. A little history of my organization, Save the Children. Soon it will have been for 100 years. It started in England, 1919. And the picture is from Ukraine. And I think these children are still in Europe today, suffering, hungry, frozen, sickness. So, you remember the eyes? What have you done with the world? You organs. Yep. This is a teacher in England. She lived in the 1800, 1900. And she was fighting together with other women for women's rights. I don't know if you have heard about suffragetterna. They really fight for the women's rights. When the first war was over, the
countries that won the war.
Yeah. Put the others in the blockade. Blockade. And the picture from the picture before, the children was starving, they were sick, they were frozen, because of the oldest war. And she was very angry. She said it's wrong. She started to collect money to send to his family in Europe. But that was illegal because the country was in blockade. So instead for sending the money directly, she sent them to Sweden, to her sisters in Sweden, and that way they can distribute it to the right place. Her name is Eglinton Jebb. And in May 1919, she invited to a conference in Albert Hall, and a lot of people were there, and the people decided to start an organization for fighting for the children's rights, and they will call it Save the Children. In the autumn the same year, Rädda Barnen Save the Children started in Sweden. And you can see for right, this is the first 5 points of children's rights in the Geneva Declaration. 1924. And Eglet was one of the people who worked it out, arbetade fram det. Yeah, made it.
Made the document,
Yeah.
or made sure the document
Yeah.
came.
And write the text. Okay. What do you think when you see this? What is that? It's a children's maps, world map.
Okay.
What does that mean? It's about 40 countries, and all these countries have this gemensamt, common. Yeah. They have a law against children abuse. You know? Say the other.
Yeah. I mean, they all these countries have been. Well, this is not working. They have signed the law, or they decided on that no children should be slapped. So it's not that many countries really. If you think, comparing to children's rights, it was 194 countries who signed that declaration or ratified the convention. But these other countries has also decided that no children should be slapped. And as you can see, England is not there, so I could slap my daughter as much as I wanted.
Slap in the sense it's abused, you said.
Yeah, abused.
Different.
Yeah.
Like some countries use it as educational tool, as a punishment, instead of talking or explaining, having rules. They have aga. They use violence, punishment.
Corporal punishment in schools.
But as you know, remember 195 countries have ratified this convention, and that's very clear. You have not to hit your children, to kränka, discriminate, say something bad, psykisk misshandel.
Psychological.
Yeah, that is. And the convention is almost the same as the law. But in Sweden, the government have decided to make the Child Convention to a law in the 1st January 2018. In Norway, it has been a law for 13 years. I think it's good. Yep. I will say the children have worked a lot with this and try to påverka, influence governments in all countries to decide a law like this. Already said it.
The only thing is the decision.
Yeah.
For example, from the Article 1.
It was a hard work to make the text. The people from different countries in the world, different cultures, different language. And for example, the first article. Have you any idea what is the first article 1 in this book? It describes the vad heter det? Definition.
Definition of
define a child.
Yeah, what is a child?
What is a child?
Have you an idea how the convention describes what is a child? When did the childhood stop? Do you know? Which year did the childhood stop?
When they are 18?
18, that's right. And the beginning, when did it begin?
When they are born?
The birth moment. Okay. Any others idea?
Maybe before the book.
Before work, week
No.
25, 30. The work group couldn't agree. So there are no start movement in the convention because of the abortion laws, different abortion. It was a very sensitive question. So the definition is you are a child till the day you fyller, you... Okay. Okay. Do you understand me? My English is not so very good. But I have my profs here, professional. Okay. This is a hard balance in the convention to respect your child, the människovärde, the human value, the respect, the value for a human, and you have to you always have to protect children. So where goes the limit to protect and show them respect? It's good, exciting question to discuss after the coffee.
I know in England a lot of the times when the law about if you could slap children or hit children or not, it was often, they often talked about this, but we have to protect our children. Like if someone's putting their hand on a hot plate, you need to slap them so they know that that's dangerous. But maybe you can do it in other ways. In Sweden, I think we look at other ways of doing it. But I know a lot of the times I've been in discussion with English people and they think that certain things you need to give them a slap so they are protected.
Learn,
yeah. But still, and I can understand both. That's
you can use the other mic, it's working.
Like I said, I can understand both ways. I can understand. It's not working.
No, it is working.
Yeah.
So you have to hold it closer.
It is working.
Yeah.
Here are some examples for the articles. I don't know if you can see it. You have good eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, I come.
Yeah, it says children have a right to our protection. Children have a right to be heard. Children have a right to information. To talk with us about anything. To tell secrets that worry them. To say no to touching that worries them. To express anger. To the ownership of their bodies. To feel good about themselves. And feel safe. And to trust their feelings.
Some comments?
What do you mean by trust their feelings?
I think it means that a child needs to trust their own feelings. If I'm 5 years old and Urban is my beloved uncle, but I feel he's touching me or doing something that I don't like, I need to trust. Even when I'm 5 years old, I need to trust. Oh, I don't like that. That didn't feel right.
It's the same way with every person in there. We have a different kind of feelings. Some people are afraid of heights. I won't push you up there. I'm not afraid of them. But maybe some of you are. I'm not afraid of spiders. I wouldn't.
Cows.
Yeah, you're afraid of cows. Really? That's just weird, man. No, but if a child has that feeling, it's still their feeling. You can talk about it, but you don't have to push it on them. You don't do it to an adult. If they say, oh, I'm really afraid of snakes, you don't take the snake and put it in the face of an adult. Why do it with a child? Just respect them, and it's still their feeling.
Here I have a question.
Yeah.
Boy or girl afraid of the water.
Yeah.
But still, it is a responsibility of adult to teach them swimming.
Yeah.
So, to take some time, initially we may need to forcefully take them, right? What do you say about that?
I'd say I have one son that's crazy about the water. from day one, he just goes, he's crazy, he just jumps out. I have to save him up. Then I have a daughter, and she didn't like it at all in the beginning. So then I went with her really slow, walk down, and then when she gets like panicked, then we go up, we talk about it. Then we go down again, we try. It's the same thing with anything you're afraid of, but it's really good, especially with water. It's good to train it, but don't throw them out.
No.
No, yeah, no. Yeah.
Being a parent, we can't do that, and we are not going to do that.
Yeah,
the problem is sometimes we may need to force them.
It's that one. Respect and protect.
Yep.
When it's water, okay, we have to respect the fear, but still it's good that they will learn how to swim so they can, if they fall in, they will be protected.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then it's the line, where does it go? Sometimes it's good to push the line, maybe the water, but not until they break or...
I think sometimes it can take quite a long time for a child that has been scared of water to go back in the water, or maybe they've never been scared of water, but they just don't like it. So that can be a process. I remember my son getting under the water. He loved water, like Jen's son. He loved it, but then he went underneath and he got very scared. And it took him quite a long time to dare to go and touch the water again. And I think you just have to allow that time. But it's difficult. You have, with certain things, we got to try to help them to maybe overcome a fear or something. Because certain things you need to swim.
But yeah, it's the same with my daughter. She went under also, got scared, but then instead of going swimming out, okay, we do it in the bathtub, we do it with the shower. She doesn't like to have water on her head. Okay, we go around, and then we take a towel, and then we try water on the head, just to get that. Because it's her feeling. My son is the completely opposite. He loves to get it in his hair, in his eyes, whatever, but for her it's really uncomfortable. So it's
at times, like, sometimes forcing may work out. Like once, say for example, you need to dive.
What?
You need to dive into the water.
Yeah.
So initially, people may protect that, and once he make it on his own, and he may like it again.
Yeah.
So for that one, I believe sometimes we may need to force a little bit.
Yeah, or make an incentive. Encourage to do it. It all depends on the child's age and what it's done and how it feels about it. Well, yeah, encourage.
Yeah. Roma?
Give it a reward.
Yeah, or give a lot of positive feedback or rewards.
Actually, what they are saying is you cannot go and physically push him. But you can maybe bribe him with some chocolates or do something which will motivate him to do.
The best thing is to show it.
Not physically force.
To show them yourself that you're not scared of it. In the end, they will not. You can dive in. So, okay.
You're safe with me.
Yeah, you're safe with me. Okay, we'll dive in together.
That's a little bit challenging for us because many of us don't know swimming. And we may do a little bit of swimming now because now we have come here and then we learn. So I don't think any of us can dive and then maybe he has to save us.
Then it's good to have something.
But Sweden has a lot of fantastic swimming schools all through the summer. So I mean, even if the parents can't swim, there is swimming schools and they teach the children in a very fun way to get used to the water and to start to swim, or to learn to swim.
You need to get it off our tummies before. One question, slide before. It's really sensitive with this information. Children have right to information. So as a parent, do we have, for example, the right to give the right information? If maybe we think that some information is not appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why I have this back of your head always. Protect, respect. Sometimes they shouldn't have all information, but it's the line. What information should you as a parent give to your child? And what do you have to do? And it's a fine line.
What do you think is important to pack in your child's
Luggage.
luggage? You know, what I mean? What the experience you have, how have been good for you, and they are going to pack on things that you will have to teach them, things that you think it's important.
Also, here, the ownership of their bodies.
What do you say?
Ownership of
to the ownership of their bodies, yeah?
What exactly it means.
They own their own body.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
like when sometimes when kids 8 years or 9 years old, they really don't know how to clean all their body parts.
Yeah.
So are we allowed to do so, or how to see when he was toddler or infant, then obviously how to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you have kids who don't want to wash their hair and things, you got to kind of say it's got to be done. I'm afraid, or brush their teeth or whatever, you just got to do it, even if they scream. That's happened. But I mean, I guess you have to explain to the child that you're going to daycare tomorrow, you're going to school, you can't come there with dirty hair, or you haven't brushed your teeth, we got to do this.
Yeah.
And the kid might scream. Mine screamed sometimes, they didn't like it.
Is that true?
They will love cleaning themselves when they get to 13, well, boys and girls. But before that, they don't like it. I think there's lots of kids who don't want to. So the parents got to sometimes wash their hair while they're crying. It's not very nice, but what else can you do?
Yeah.
You're washing your child's hair.
Yeah, I have that struggle every day with the hair. To brush the hair. If she wants long hair, then you have to brush the hair. So it's a lot of tears, but yeah, you have to do it. And it's also the line with hygiene. Yeah, as a parent, I have to take care of it. Teeth, yes. I think the dentist say you should brush them up until they're 12 years old. And it's a long way, because it's good that they brush themselves, but then you should also do it, because you can't do it.
To 12?
Yeah. I got that lesson when I was.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. I was also like, really? Until 12? And it's, yeah.
What about hugs? If the child said no to hugs?
Yeah, I had that question with my daughter when she comes from the daycare. Because the guy always wanted to hug her. And I say, if you say no, don't even hug. And if she says no to me, I'm okay. Yeah, of course. Sometimes I don't want a hug.
Give grandma a hug.
Yeah.
No, I don't want.
Yeah, and then I said, okay, you don't. For me, it's yeah, respect. Yeah, because some days you don't want to. But you can also encourage always. But when you do the forcing way, well, then you get you don't like it. And sometimes she's like that. I guess grandpa or grandma, and it's like they live in Brazil, but when they come, and sometimes I don't want to hug them. It's just because she became angry because they're not always there. And so it's a way of showing that I don't like that you're away all the time, but after one day, then it's always hugging. So it's a phase also.
One more question.
Yeah.
Regarding to express anger.
Yeah.
So what is the limitation for that? Each and every time we can't encourage to throwing the things and fighting and
Throwing the shine.
Because at times like on road, especially the vehicles sometimes they move fast, right?
Yes.
They have a tendency to jump.
Yeah.
So obviously we need to show some anger, saying that
Yeah.
we need to come into walk up.
Yeah. Absolutely. They have the right to feel anger also. What?
No, I was just thinking that maybe it depends on the age.
Yeah.
And how
No,
old you are.
I'm talking about up to 10.
Up to 10,
Yeah.
okay. I don't have children, so.
I can tell, should I embarrass Rose-Hanna and tell a funny story?
Yes,
When
please.
she was about 4.5, my brother-in-law, her uncle, which she knew very, very well, he was always in our house and he knew him so well. And he was going to pick her up from the little school where she went to school. And when he came to pick her up, she screamed so much they had to call me and get someone else to pick her up. So kids can be very, what happened? Sometimes it's very hard to understand why kids express, like, you didn't want to go with him, did you? No. Poor uncle. He never picked any of my kids up again, so it was like a real setback for me who needed someone to sometimes pick up my children.
Like that?
What happens if the children are hit?
Good question, really good question. We talked about that just last day. Yeah, I said never. My son is a hitter, a biter. But I'm going to really explain to him, he's just 1.5 now. My daughter would never hit, but he's one of those that goes. So I talk to him, sit him down, because I don't want him to resolve his problems by hitting or being physical. So he's starting to get better, but I wouldn't allow a kid to hit.
Because I saw, it was one of those in schooling days.
Yeah.
I was sitting along with the other children in the school, and one of the child was like, took a glass and he just threw it. And it was a glass.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get really hurt.
Yeah.
And the teacher was sitting here, and she saw the glass was there. It luckily didn't hit any child or anyone. And she was sitting as if nothing happened. So I was like, okay, this is how you do it in Sweden.
No.
So it was a little bit surprising for me. But later on, maybe she explained to the child later on, we don't know, because in the school they have several opportunities to explain to the child, maybe not in front of all of us, because then the child will feel bad.
I hope so.
So, but that was one instance which surprised me.
Yeah.
But then I saw that, if the child is hitting, because one of my colleagues who is working with me was telling, okay, if the child is in school and he is hitting the teacher, maybe he is 12, 14, then it becomes complex. So that is the information I got from one of the colleagues here. So then I thought, I don't know what was the solution. Is it the teacher should complain or tell the parents, or what is the next step?
I mean, if a child is 14 and hits in a school, you phone the parents at once. I would. You would phone the parent, call the parents to school, and obviously you need to talk to both the boy or girl who has done the hitting and the parents. I mean, you can't have someone in school who hits at that age. Okay, when they're younger it happens, and it's not good, but you talk to them and you try, it's part of growing up to learn not to hit.
Is it because he was not stopped when he hit first when he was small? Or?
Well, I guess if no one tells you that it's wrong, then you would just hit.
Goes on.
Yeah, it would just go on. If no one tells the child to not hit, I mean, if you as a parent allow your child to maybe hit you, I've seen it, and I think, why don't you say anything to the child? I would never, I'll be like Jens, I would put the child down and say, listen, that's not okay, you sit down here. Because if you allow that, the child's going to be a monster.
Yes.
How do we control them then? Anyway, physical punishment is strictly not allowed, so that we will keep aside. Sometimes already they are in anger mood, so whatever we are going to speak, they are not going to agree that. So we have to wait first, and moreover, whenever we are saying very beginning, maybe if they are 4 or 5 years, they can't understand first what we are saying, why we are saying that all. So how can we handle that moment?
But they understand your feelings. We also talked with another colleague. Her child hit her and beat her. She went angry all the time, but it never helped. And then our colleague said, well, start crying. She cried, he stopped. Because he didn't want to see mother crying, but if she was angry, that's okay, but crying, no. So they read up on, body language and own feelings. Yeah?
This kind of similar situations I'm talking about, sometimes parents feel that, okay, when they grow up, they will learn on their own.
Yeah.
Up to 5, 6, we shouldn't be bothered about all these things. After that, probably we will start like making him or her understand, okay, now you are grown up enough, don't hit anybody.
Yeah.
If you hit, it will be really bad situation sometimes. Sometimes this happens. This is from parental side, and I have noticed that when there are 2 or more kids in a family, often the younger ones, they kind of get away with whatever they do. So the other parents think like, okay, whoever are the older ones, they should be behaved and they should follow probably rules. The younger ones, they can do whatever they want. This is from the parental side, but in school, I have often seen that there are few kids who are otherwise perfect, but they kind of always looking for a chance where they can hit any friend. Sometimes even the teachers. So the only thing I have so far seen that they go into. That is what they are supposed to listen or they told. But now the thing is, what I have felt like past 1 year, I have seen few kids who are continuously doing that. There is no change in their behavior, but obviously the adults who are around teacher or teaching staffs or other personnel, they are consistent enough to say that you shouldn't do that, you are hurting others, this is not allowed, but that is producing no result. Because what I have felt is like the kid knows that that's the thing they will say at most. I can get away with anything.
He's not afraid of the situation.
Yes, there is no consequence.
But sometimes you have to find other consequences, and I think you can talk to the staff working there as well. If you're seeing things like that and you think this has been going on for a long time and it doesn't help, and you're, sometimes you need to do something else to make that child understand that it's not okay to run around and hit other kids. And that's the staff in the nursing school, I think, we should, work on that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it could be like they have a child that has a lot of problems and are hitting other children. Then they might need an extra staff that actually work with that child. So
I guess you all know that there are not many support staff or psychological counselors who are readily available in the schools. They are not that plenty, which we need probably. But yes, obviously in certain cases they help in, they steps in, we have counselors sitting with the kids. But that are like, I would say, really extreme cases where they have multiple problems. But there are normal kids, that would be probably politically not right, but there are few kids always who are otherwise okay. They don't have that many problems, but they are always working in a group, but when their adults are not around, they will probably push somebody and shake somebody just out of fun. They think that's cool, that's smart, they are probably powerful than other friends, and they can get away with that. The only thing they get to hear is like, what else we can do, because all these rules, everybody knows. Even adults, we are always talking about Bond Convention and rules. The kids know that adults know. So what we do is, det går inte, det funkar inte. Du ska vara snäll mot varandra. Men yes, like verbally it's very okay. The kids know that. But, they feel it's like very funny, being very smart. So what
no one can stop me.
Yes.
I can do
They can only do this much. They can only say me repeatedly.
Yeah.
And there is no other consequences that I should feel. So my kids are a lot more smarter than before, I would say, right now. So what is the solution? How to deal with those situations?
Well, that's a complex question, but usually it's like, when kids or adults act out, it's usually about attention, especially with kids. Some kids can't demand attention in a good way, they just do it in a bad way. If people want to look at me, it's easier to punch him than to talk to him. So usually they have learned that way. It's way easier to get attention to scream than to do a nice song that everybody likes. So it's the same thing here, I think, with some kids. They have to learn how to do, express themselves in another way. But still, as Ammi said, there's other way to do punishment, or we have.
Just to add, because I was surprised. My daughter was 2 years old, and it was one of those in schooling days. We're in the same school where there were children of age 6. So they may move to the first school class next year. But I was inside and with the children. And these children out there in the play area, 5 of them were hitting one. 5 girls were hitting one boy. And it was going on for some 10-12 minutes. And I saw that, because nobody was interfering, and then I called the teacher, what's happening there, and they were okay, because it was not my class, it's their class, somebody else is going to come there. And then in the end, somebody informed, and somebody reached there, and the boy was really badly hurt, and the others were like, what can you do now? And the teacher took the boy, and he just went inside, okay, don't cry, and whatever story. But what about the children who were hitting? I didn't see any discussion there with the teacher and the children, and then I was a little bit okay. Maybe we should teach the children karate from the child, so that they can defend themselves.
I think you have all the right to... No one get angry at them?
No.
Nothing.
I didn't see, because the teacher took the other child, and then she left the scene, and the other 5 children were in the ground. So that was not really...
Not here, Mr.
I didn't have a very good feeling about after seeing that, because I saw them fighting for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. And then it is, the boy was really...
What had happened if you get out and took them together?
Yeah, that I was told when, when I was going to take the driver's license, and one of my friends, if he is drunk and is going to take the car, then I'm supposed to kind of sit on top of him so that he cannot take it. And call the whoever. But that was only when you're an adult. Not when you're a child. So that's the difference. I don't know. What is the right way?
I mean, I just hope that maybe this teacher who came out and took the boy, maybe she done that first to see. Maybe she was shocked, so she took the one who was injured first, and then maybe, I hope she dealt with these ones who had done it. That's all I can say, that she called the parents and said, listen, we've had this incident and it's very serious, because, but maybe... But sometimes as well, in Sweden, very often it's hard for, if you work in a nursery school or a school, it's very hard for us, because I worked in a school for a long time, and it's very hard for me to tell you what I've done with the people who actually were fighting. Because that's for them parents to know. It's not for you maybe who's seen it, or say it was your child who was hit. I would talk to you, and maybe you would like to find out who was it, what you're going to do. And then I would just say, listen, we're going to deal with this. We have called the parents, we're going to talk to the parents, we're going to, but I might not have, I don't tell you everything that happens. That's maybe it's not, but that's what's happened a lot. I know parents get angry and say, what have you done? But we might have done a lot with the children that done the hitting. We might have called the parents have themselves decided what the consequence is going to be. Maybe it's like, you're getting no pocket money, or you can't do this, you can't go to your football training, or whatever the child likes. And if it continues as well, maybe you involve social services and things, because if a kid if they continually keeps hitting other children, it's not the right place for that child to be in that school. So it's a lot of work, I think that...
So basically, our contact is the teachers. If you see something, we talk to the teachers.
At once. But if you see something like that,
or
I will stop it.
Or if the child, for example, now next year my child is going to go to Korskola, and for example, she comes and tells me that okay, something happened, somebody has hit me, or something like that. Somebody has bullied. What is the process?
That happens, yeah. I have the small children here. No, but that happens. I have the older daughter. She has one that always follows her around. I know she doesn't like it. Always hugging her, always. So I tell the staff, this is happening. She feels like this. She has that feeling, and it's her feeling. She doesn't want it. So they have separated them more. So they have their eyes on, so they're not always on her. So because it's their job. The thing is, the Swedes, we are really bad at demanding stuff. So we should go there and demand it. Yeah, this is how she feels. My child feels like this, and I want this. Can it be arranged? Because when you work in school, you also love it when parents are involved and say what is going on.
And if the teacher kind of ignore you and don't, like now what they've done at your school, they've done something, they're working on it, but if they don't do anything, you go to the headmaster, you go to the manager of the nursery. If you want, you can tell the teacher, listen, this is not getting better, I'm going to go and talk to your manager. If you want, that's up, you know, if you want to give them a chance. But I found that or my experience, as soon as parents says, I'm going to go to the headmaster, things start to happen. It shouldn't be like that. But it's like them, the teachers and everyone thinks, oh, I got to do something because this parent is serious. So, I mean, it's a very good thing to say. Listen, things aren't getting better. My daughter is not happy. You haven't really worked with this. I'm going to talk to the headmaster. Or you just go and talk to the headmaster. It's up to you. You don't even have to tell the staff. The headmaster is the next step, and then after that there's another step.
Because I was in the SFE class, and then we got some questionnaire asking, okay, is somebody bullying you when you come for the class and all that. So I wanted to know, do we have a similar system in the schools?
Yeah, when you come up,
At what age does it start?
When you start with asking?
First
grade. First grade.
First grade. And even the nursery schools have a policy for bullying.
This is an interesting point I would like to talk about. In my daughter's school, past 6 months, I would say, there were lots of workshops, discussion, questionnaires, and evaluation regarding using slang words. Lots of boys, especially boys I would say, maybe a few girls as well, they use all the time slang words. Probably they don't even know the meaning of those, but still they continuously using that, so I don't know how it happened. Maybe some parents, they have complained or whatever. One day we received, like, I know because my daughter told me that there are lots of boys who are always doing these things. And so then I asked, like, what about the teacher? She said, yes, but they don't listen to the teachers. Even all the time they are repeating that don't use these words, this is a school, you are not supposed to use and everything. So that didn't work. Then we had got a letter from the teachers and from the principal. Gradually it became like that, we are practicing like lots of discussions throughout the classes about what are the language you should use and everything. So you do discuss it at home as well. Ask them what they did in class and what they feel like. Everything happened, and then we got letter from the teachers that we worked in this, and it doesn't stop. We will continue working on that. So then the principal called a meeting of the parents, school road, and we discussed that. Everything is happening, and then we got a report that, okay, we did work about this, and we are very happy with this. We worked a lot. The parental response as well as kids' response. Those are really fine. We learned a lot every week. And then yesterday my daughter came. 2 boys, specifically those I have heard of before. Mama, they are continuously using those same words. Just the difference is they are not doing that in front of the teacher now. But they are using the same thing. So I told her that always you come across, you ask them what is the meaning. And she does that. So they said, I don't know what does that mean, but I will say that. That's fun. Why are you being
How we pause something? We have some, what do you call it?
Snack.
Yeah, a fika break or something. Do you want to take a break? 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you can continue. I think a word that I think Hillary Clinton said, it needs a village to raise a child. I think that's a good thing. We have to connect to each other, we others, and help each other in every child. I think so. Amen.
So break for 10 minutes. I think we can take coffee out there.
I took Swedish and my friends because I think I better to explain this in Swedish. Det finns 2 kraftfulla eller tydliga lagar i Sverige, och den ena heter föräldrabalken och den andra heter socialtjänstlagen.
There are 2 strong laws in Sweden. One is called the parents' law and the other one is the social law.
Föräldrabalken reglerar föräldrars rättigheter och skyldigheter.
The parents' law is about the parents' rights and responsibilities.
Och jämför man med till exempel med barnkonventionen och föräldrabalken så kommer regeringen eller Sverige att få ett tufft jobb att få barnkonventionen och föräldrabalken att matcha.
And if you look at the parents' law and the children's convention, it's going to be a really tough job for the government to get these 2 things to kind of go hand in hand when the children's convention become a law in Sweden.
Första 18.
1st of January 1918 I was going to say. 2018. 18, yes. Not 1918.
Yes.
No, I said that. I'm wrong. That's me.
Socialtjänstlagen reglerar ju socialtjänstens arbete men också människor som jobbar med barn och ungdomar.
The social law is controlling the work of social services, the work they're doing with young people.
Och just i kapitel 14 i socialtjänstlagens första stycket där så finns det något som heter anmälningsskyldighet eller anmälningsplikt.
And in one of the chapters, chapter 14, there's something in there that says, what's it called? The reason to report, yeah.
Och det säger så här att människor som jobbar med barn och ungdomar, alltså skolan, förskolan, hela sjukvården, polisen, socialtjänsten, alltså där man möter barn och ungdomar så har man en skyldighet att anmäla sin oro för barn. Så känner man en oro för ett barn och misstänker att det här barnet har det inte bra så har jag en skyldighet, jag måste anmäla den oron till socialtjänsten.
I think you all understand what Urban's saying, but he's saying that all teachers, nursery school teachers, everyone who's working with young people, if you're a youth worker working in a youth club or wherever, you have to report if you're feeling worried about your child. But if you're really feeling worried about that child, I would also like to say that you don't just walk around with that worry. You usually ask questions and you investigate yourself. Because if you were supposed to run off with every worry you have, you'd be writing reports every day, which we don't have time to do if you work in a school. So what you do is you try to find out a bit more. If you don't have anything that's so obvious that this is not good, then I obviously have to report it at once, because then I'm so worried there's nothing to investigate. But most of the time you do like your own investigations as a teacher or youth worker.
Och den här lagstiftningen är också individuell, så det är du själv, du kan inte lämna över till någon annan, det är inte rektorns jobb, utan känner du en oro som förskollärare så är det du som är skyldig att anmäla din oro.
Yes, you can't put it on the principal or the manager of the place to do that report. You have to write it yourself. But then in many schools, the teachers do the writing, but it's actually the headmaster who signs it, because the headmaster needs to be aware of everything that goes on in his school, so he don't suddenly find out in a random sort of way that you are a teacher in my school and you're worried about the kid, and I find out through social services. I mean, I'm in charge of the school and the teachers. So many schools do it like that.
Och nu sen, nu ska vi se, 1 januari 2013 så har man till och med skrivit in att det räcker med en misstanke, så man behöver inte veta. Det räcker att misstänker jag att ett barn inte har det bra, så är jag skyldig.
Yeah, if you just suspect that the child, that is something going on, or you have a worry, it's enough that you report that to social services.
När den här orosanmälan kommer in till socialtjänsten så gör de en förhandsbedömning. Alltså de bedömer en mindre utredning.
So they do, as soon as this report or this report about worry gets into social services, they do a small investigation.
Och då träffar de vårdnadshavare, barnet och den som har gjort anmälan.
So they meet all three parts, like the one who done the report, the worry, the child and the parents.
Och den där utredningen får 2 veckor.
And that should be done within 2 weeks.
Sen fattar man ett beslut
And then a decision is being made.
Om man ska lägga ner saken eller om man ska fortsätta med en större utredning.
And after that they decide, is this anything we're going to continue to investigate, or have we enough to say no, that's fine, we're not going to do anything more.
Och blir det den här längre utredningen, då har man 4 månader på sig att komma fram till ett beslut eller ett förslag vad familjen eller barnen ska få göra.
And the longer investigation takes about 4 months, and then 4 weeks or 4 months. 4 months.
Det är också så att med anmälningsskyldigheten att när någon blir orolig för någons barn och man tänker att det handlar om saker som inte är ett brott, alltså om det handlar om oförmåga hos föräldrarna att se till att barnet får rätt kläder, får mat, alltså vi kallar det för omsorgssvikt.
Yeah, if it's the caring the parent is lacking in, like dressing the child, feeding the child.
Passing times.
Yeah.
And things like that. Då säger man så här att när du blir orolig för ett barn, då ska föräldrarna informeras om den oron direkt.
Yeah, so the parent should be told at once if you're worried about your child in that sort of way.
Så man kan säga så här, när skulle du vilja veta att någon blir orolig för ditt barn? Och då tänker jag att de flesta säger på en gång.
Yeah, everyone says that. I mean, you don't want someone to be worried about your child and go ahead and do a report or something if they haven't asked you. You want to know the first time they worry about your kid. You want them to come to you and ask, listen, he came with no shoes this morning, for example, what's happening? We got worried about him. You want to know the same day. So it's like it's not an obligation, but that's what you should do. Yeah.
Och tyvärr så finns det ju exempel på där man har väntat med att informera föräldrarna och så har det gått kanske en termin och så har man ett möte och säger till föräldrarna att vi har varit oroliga för ditt barn under höstterminen och det är inte så bra.
No, sometimes it takes a long time maybe before the school gets in contact with the parents, and of course the parents get really angry if they know they have talked about your child and they have had meetings and they have concern about your child and you haven't been informed. I mean that's completely wrong of the school.
Men så är det en viktig skillnad. Och det är om man tänker att barnet är utsatt för någonting som är ett brott, någonting brottsligt.
It's a difference if a child has been to crimes.
Och det kan det vara exempel på om det finns våld i familjen, alltså våld i en relation till pappa slår mamma, som det kan hända. Eller att det finns missbruk i familjen. Nej, kanske inte missbruk, men våld i familjen. Om det handlar om heder, eller vet om det kan man förklara, hedersfrågor.
Either if it's violence in the family, like the parents are hitting each other or something, or if it's questioning about honor.
Ja, eller sexuella.
And sexually assault.
Misstänker man ett brott så ska man inte informera föräldrarna.
Then you should not inform the parent.
Då måste polisen få en chans att träffa barnet och göra ett förhör för att göra en bedömning hur det ligger till.
Because then the police need the time to do question the child and obviously work with the parents and find out what's going on. So that's the time when they don't inform the parent. But that's when a crime has been done. Like what can you say if a child comes to school with bruises, or the child says itself it's been sexually assaulted, or comes to school and say I'm going back to somewhere, they're going to marry me away with a cousin, things like that.
Eller beter sig på ett sätt som gör en orolig.
Yeah, or the child is doing things that makes the staff worried about it. So in some sort of way, they are showing
symptoms of a crime.
Yes. Thank you, Jen.
Ja. Och i de flesta kommuner, eller i många kommuner i Sverige, så finns det som vi kallar för barnhus.
And in a lot of places there's something called barnhus, children's house.
Och där jobbar socialtjänsten och polisen har personal som är anställda där.
So in that place, both social services, people from social services are employed and the police is employed to work there.
Och där träffar polisen barnet och har ett förhör.
And the police meet the child to question it, or talk to it.
Och så finns det då åklagare, socialtjänsten, barnpsykiatrin, barnläkare.
So it's prosecutors, social services, child psychologists, lots of people, children's doctors.
Barnets advokat.
And the child's lawyer.
I ett rum bredvid och följer det här samtalet.
And is followed, if someone is doing the questioning of the child, it's being followed by people looking in to.
Men det är polisen som sköter själva samtalet, bara med barnet. Polis och barn.
And it's the police who's doing the questioning of the child, but it's well-trained policemen. It's not like anyone from, the police we see. These are specialized police.
Och utifrån det samtalet så fattar sen socialtjänsten ett beslut om vad som ska hända. Om barnet behöver skydd, hur man ska göra med föräldrarna, men de ska kallas in på ett samtal och så.
And from that questioning, they decide, does this child needs to be protected? Does it need to go into care? And when are we going to call in the parents and questioning the parents?
Och där kan man alltså besluta om att göra ett omedelbart omhändertagande, att man liksom tar barnet och placerar det på ett skyddad plats.
And there you can decide to take the child and place it in a protected place.
Och det som fattar beslutet, det är socialnämndens ordförande, alltså en politiker som fattar det beslutet. Man informerar politikern och sen är politikern, alltså ordföranden i social.
So it's the chairperson of the social service board that makes the decision. So after they've done all this, they have to put everything in writing or in form over the phone. I think it's mainly phone calls or meetings with the chairperson of social.
Och ska skriva över ett papper.
Yeah. They have to sign the paper if the child is going to be taken into care.
Och det kallas för omedelbart omhändertagande.
And that's the immediate taking care of a child.
Och lagen som det lyder heter LVU, alltså lagen om vård av unga.
The law of care of the young.
Och sen fortsätter den här utredningen och sen hamnar det här fallet i en domstol och då tar man upp allt. För man måste inom 14 dagar ha ett möte, alltså ha en förhandling i domstolen om den här omhändertagandet ska fortsätta eller inte.
So within 2 weeks they have to have decide if they're going to continue to have the child placed in care or if the child can go back to their parents.
Och det som ligger till grund för det beslutet är ju hur föräldrarna har agerat, vad föräldrarna har sagt, hur man bedömer situationen, om det är farligt för barnet att komma hem eller om föräldrarna, om man tänker nej men det är ingen större fara. Så det handlar liksom om vad utredningen kommer fram till.
Yeah, it depends very much on how the parents respond to the situation, and they have to think, is it safe for the child to live with this parent? And few cases I've been involved in, the children has gone back to live with their parents.
Yeah.
Because there hasn't been any danger to the child to go back. Because it depends on, I guess, if something has happened, they regret it, or they talk about it in a way that everyone knows that this is not going to happen again. Then it's safe for the child to go back and live with their parents.
Så det är de här två lagarna, socialtjänstlagen och lagen om, alltså LVU, lagen om vård av unga. Det är de två lagstiftningarna som socialtjänsten har att jobba med.
So it's them 2 laws that we've been talking about. But I think it's also important to say that even if the child continue to go into care, say they decide after 2 weeks, they decide no, this child can't go home, the parents still will be involved with the child in some way. You never like to break the relationship. So even if they say no, it's not safe for the child to go home, the child's going to continue to stay in care, but the parents are going to get time to visit the child, and they, you know, so you never if the child wants to. I mean, the child could say no, I don't want to, then that's respected. Otherwise, they continue to build relationship between the parents and the child.
Och en sån placering omprövas var 6:e månad, så måste man fatta sitt beslut.
And every 6 months they look into it. Decision like that have been made. They look into it every 6 months to say it's going to continue, or no, we think now it's time for the child to go back.
För kanske 30 år sedan när man gjorde en familjehemsplacering, då tänkte man att barn från Västerås, de ska helst bo på Gotland eller uppe i Boden.
Yeah, 30 years ago they always thought the children, say from here, should live a long way from Västerås, up north or, you know, far away from their parents. That has completely changed.
Yeah. Nu tänker man att det är bra om barnet kan bo i kanske till och med familjens nätverk eller släkt.
Yeah, now we often look at maybe, like close aunts or anyone within the child knows, or if there's someone who could care for this child that the child already knows.
Och ett familjehem, det är en vanlig familj som är noga utredd när man har godkänt att den här familjen passar att vara familjehem. Det är en vanlig familj.
And these homes is called family homes. And that family home has been investigated to be a safe place for a child to be during this time.
Som det ser ut idag så finns det ju fler barn som behöver bo i familjehem än vad det finns familjehem att använda.
And today we have a situation where there's small children needs to live in a family home than we have family homes.
Så skulle ni vilja bli familjehem så blir det gärna.
So if you would like to become a family home, there is need.
Jag tänker också med LVU så är det bra att veta att det finns 2 punkter där. Det ena är alltså barnets eget beteende, som alltså om barnet själva beter sig som är missbruk med självskadebeteende, med kriminalitet, med våldsamhet, så kan det vara som en grund för att använda tvång.
Yeah, it could also be the young person that is